Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in San Francisco, California, with Morsels of a Thought number 1717. Today we are reading from the Lunar Legacy book, DNA of Success by Greg S. Reid, and Ben Haldeman, and others. Et Ali means and others, masculine form plural. And they put the abbreviation in with the AL instead of ALII. Okay, now we are reading the end of chapter 2, the first paragraph of which is aerospace engineering was Ben's calling and his dream. His grandfather had made a big impact on him, and so did his father. His father had built the homes they'd lived in and loved being outside in nature, learning about the world around him. Although his father didn't understand Ben's love of space, he supported his curiosity. Astronauts were cool, but Ron didn't know which direction his son's career would take or if he'd ever realize his dream of becoming an astronaut. Going to the moon had always been Ben's holy grail. From the moment he was old enough to look up into the night sky and dream, he knew that one day he would go to the moon. 12 people have walked on the moon, only 12. He would be lucky number 13. Now, we read this and we're down to the second to last paragraph. I will read partly this. Ben pondered if and how many people might still be living on Earth when the legacies and digital copy of DNA on the moon was found. They might have branched out to live in other parts of the galaxy and beyond. In his mind, it was time to expand our exploration beyond the confines of our planet. This was especially true because he knew the sun might not shine forever, and humanity has the technology and ambition to leave this Earth. Beyond DNA, Ben's future plans included collecting the life lessons, mottos, and secrets of success to store on the moon. People would have a chance to write their own history. Future civilizations would be able to access this information and gain an understanding of who we are and what helps us thrive. He would call it the, quote, Lunar Legacy Project, end quote, capitalized. And the spacecraft, quote, SpaceX Falcon 9, end quote, also capitalized, would launch it to the moon. On a more personal note, Ben was working on his legacy too. He had a daughter, Luna, and wanted to make sure he left a legacy behind for her and future generations to follow. Ben was eager to share his grandfather's words of wisdom with his child, as well as their many traditions, like watching the Chicago Cubs and eating cookies before bed. Ben wasn't married, mostly because he hadn't yet found someone who aligned with his big vision. Before he made a commitment, he wanted to feel a powerful galactic alignment at soul connection and would accept nothing less. He'd recently met a woman he was interested in getting to know. Destiny was the instructor at his first vinyasa class, and the two found that they enjoyed each other's company. Determined to take things slow, Ben was also interested in discovering more about her and whether their relationship might grow. Destiny often reminded Ben to connect to the earth or ground himself whenever he became too stressed. With yoga, his tension always released and melted away, especially when he was outside barefoot in the grass. He felt more spiritually in tune with nature when they did their yoga flows outside, as if he could feel the earth breathing in and out to calm him down. Ben and Destiny meditated, studied Ayurveda, capitalized, and even visited a yoga retreat in the rainforest. She was the creativity to his structure, and the two were enjoying this time to explore their relationship and see where it would go. It was an exciting time in Ben's life when he began gathering the data for the lunar legacy, quote end quote. Capitalized. Lunar Legacy project, before the SpaceX Falcon 9 launch. He'd already figured out the logistics. DNA samples and life lessons would be stored in a capsule packed full of information about life on Earth. The rocket and lunar lander would take it to its ultimate destination, the moon, preserving the blueprint of Earth for all time. That is Greg Reid and Ben Haldeman. Focus on Ben Haldeman there. Chapter 3. Ben decided to gather people from all walks of life to help ensure the success of his project. He wasn't content with only learning the secrets to success from his colleagues that he spoke to every day. He wanted to hear from people with different careers, backgrounds, and lifestyles. He wanted statements with depth, color, and golden nuggets of information. As he conducted his research, he came across a couple in the leadership arena who had just done a TEDx talk on mastering connected relationships. Capitalized. In a promotional byline for their book, The R Factor, a story written on the same topic, which we have read on the Morsels of a Thought, by the way. Ken Ashby and Maris Segal stated, S-E-G-A-L, stated, quote, "We are all connected as humanity first, and that's where the bottom line begins," end quote. Intrigued, he went on to read more about them and their human relations philosophy. When he was done, he was inspired to connect with them and get their take on relationships across the galaxy. Here, hold on a second. I'm going to pull down their book, which is up here, that we have read by Maris Segal and Ken Ashby, The R Factor, Evolving Our Human Relationship Story. Do you remember this? Yes, you do. And he's got a wallet wisdom. They have a wallet wisdom. www.segalleadershipglobal.com. So SEGAL Leadership Global, all one word.com. Okay, go. All right, now we are here. Oh, yeah. I can put it in. Yes. The email resulted in a video call where Ben got to learn more about them and share his vision in the hope they would join him on his journey. They shared that whether emotional, physical, intellectual, or spiritual, we are in many relationships and connected to someone or something from the time we wake up in the morning until our heads hit the pillow to sleep, and from cradle to grave. We are reading Lunar Legacy, DNA of Success by Greg S. Reid. It's a compilation, and Ben Haldeman. It's a compilation by many authors. I think it's like 20 people about. And this book he's talking about was co-authored by Maris Segal, Segal, and Ken Ashby. You can spell that probably. All right. Ken and Maris, both space fans, were excited to meet Ben and hear about the Lunar Legacy project, and they told him so. In Morsels of a Thought, I hope that I am bringing you thoughts of wisdom. Hopefully that you know the right things to do in life. And when you do them, you create virtue. So we're bringing more virtue into the world with morsels of a thought at a time. Today was 1717. It is 1717 times that I've come to you consecutive mornings. Okay, back to the book where Ben Haldeman is talking to Ken Ashby and Maris Segal. Ken said, "We believe this may be the next evolution of humanity, which is accepting and working from a relational culture," Ken said. Maris continued, The R factor is also a culture, Ben. We've seen plenty of evidence globally that when these rhythms are working in unison, respect, responsibility, reframing, and resilience, each having equal importance, they create a culture at work, home, and beyond of synchronicity, connection, communication, collaboration, confidence, and ultimately trust. Maris added, and our relationships are integral to our legacies. Each of us comes to our relationships today from a long legacy of relationships from our past, our parents' past, and their parents before them. They formed much of what we believe about relationships with family and friends, with social issues, with spirituality, with our community, with health and wellness, time, and money. We are their living legacy. And our most important relationship begins with ourselves. How we feel about ourselves inside is how we relate to others outside. End quote. Then, quote, then I want you to recognize that your connection with everyone and every living part of our planet and the universe is at a tipping point with this project. Then you can begin to comprehend why it's so important to stay in sync with the relationship rhythms. Whether it's whether it is here or in space, the R factor is about mastering connected relationships. No matter what, whether it is energy or matter, it is the positive and inclusive choices that we make every day that will ultimately build a healed and connected planet and universe. That starts here on Earth with each of us, Ken continued. I hope it stays up. I want it to stay up. Good. Okay. It's a process of evolving and growing, Maris said, and having respect for every human being and every culture on our planet, as well as the universe. You've given me a lot to consider. I didn't realize how important relationships would be in this project. Now I can see that they could determine the entire success of the mission, and I'm ground zero, Ben pointed out. Yes, they can. Relationships impact every part of your life and the legacy you leave behind on this planet and beyond. Then, the four rhythms of relationships that we teach work in every prosperous and thriving business and life, Maris reminded him. Ken added, in our work across the U.S. and 40 countries, we've been committed to raising voices for important causes and motivating and empowering individuals and teams to grow. Connected relationships to grow, connected relationships to drive purpose-driven impact. And with the Lunar Legacy Project, we're excited to expand our reach with you. Just imagine what the universe could look like if we could solidify positive relationships that transverse space and time, Maris exclaimed. What advice would what advice would you give what advice would you two leave on the moon for future generations and beings to discover? Ben asked. That's easy, Maris said. Our daily choices determine our future. So choose to show up with respect. Stand up and be responsible. Reframe limiting beliefs and step forward with resilience. We're very impressed with this interstellar project and excited to join you in your big vision. We know that you are creating an R Factor culture with your respect for humanity and the universe and the responsibility you feel to create the lunar legacy opportunity for future generations. We trust that as you encounter others along the way, that you will be present and listen, reframe limiting perspectives, and seek counsel to rise up with resilience as you face challenges, Maris said. Like we said, Ben, the R factor is universal. The rhythms will follow you through life and take you everywhere, Ken added. Even to the moon? Ben exclaimed. To the moon and beyond, my friend. Let us know how we can support you along the way, Ken said. With each of us working together, we can accomplish great things. Now, the R Factor book comes along with Ken-Maris at segalleadershipglobal.com. And Segal is spelled Segal. There is a wallet, there is a scan, uh, what do you call square? Wallet wisdom. Okay, I will read you the wallet wisdom of Ken and Maris. And it is okay, I will read you these four wallet wisdom items from the R Factor. In the rhythm of respect, we show up and we're present. We listen, we build trust, and lead with compassion and authenticity. In the rhythm of responsibility, we are intentional, we are committed, we communicate clearly, and we stand accountable for our actions. In the rhythm of reframing, we lead with gratitude, we accept the traumas of our past without letting them limit us, we meet people where they are and honor feedback. In the rhythm of resilience, we stand up and step forward with consistent action and accept support to courageously face and navigate inevitable change. This is the wallet wisdom from the R Factor that is from this book that Ben Haldeman references here, www.segalladershipglobal.com. Okay? Now, chapter 4. Ben continued his work, finding several people who shared their life mottos and stories of success. They all had one particular viewpoint in common. Being successful wasn't easy. They learned lessons along the way and had to adapt to make it work. They were insurance brokers, real estate agents, thought leaders, and entrepreneurs. They liked to share success publicly online or in seminars. But once they opened up about the details of their journey, it became apparent they all had failures, setbacks, and unforeseen obstacles to overcome. Those were the pieces that made them real and relatable and not just influencers on social media. Ben consciously applied the four rhythms of relationships with the people he connected with compared to his with the people he connected with, period. Compared to his small hometown in Pennsylvania, everyone from California was glamorous and covered in stardust, and he was unsure if he could successfully get them on board. He built his website and was ready to see if any of these stars were ready to head to the moon. After spending all day in front of the screen, he stood up, satisfied with his progress. Then he did a few stretches and got himself ready to spend the evening at a fundraiser. The animal shelter was hosting the fundraiser so they could purchase more supplies and build awareness for their dogs that needed homes. When he arrived, Ben entered an enormous outdoor restaurant patio. The space was filled with outdoor games like cornhole, Jenga, and an inflatable obstacle course. Through it all, there were puppies of all breeds walking around in volunteer vests that said, Adopt me. Ben couldn't help but think how Luna would react if she'd been there. Not knowing anyone at the event, he paused to watch a cornhole tournament. When it was over, Carol, one of the opponents, approached him, asking if he wanted to play and was looking for a partner. Carol Marzouk, Marzouk, introduced herself as the quote, capitalized, executive lion tamer, capitalized, and smiled as she watched his reaction. Carol didn't work with real lions, but her work was important and involved just as much excitement and drama. She explained that she assists companies by removing the toxicity from their culture while promoting a healthier work environment. As the youngest of 5 children, Carol asked if he had any children. When Ben told her about his daughter Luna, she encouraged him to have lots of kids. Her childhood was wild and fun with many adventures, but she said it was also dangerous. Carol gave one example when her siblings tested the strength and safety of her stroller when they tried to throw it out of a ninth-story balcony, quote, just to see if it would fly with her in it, end quote. As an only child, as an only child, this both intrigued and scared Ben. What were they thinking? Why did their parents allow it? He had no idea how to ask these questions politely. I know how it is, how it's hard to ask a question politely, and then I lose the opportunity. So I need to learn to prepare with words that will say, I hope you don't believe that I am being rude, and I hope that you don't take offense at what I am about to ask, but, and then more of that. Anyway, back to the author and Haldeman. Most here, most of Carol's stories were about defying the odds. She went to UCLA without the support or knowledge of her family because they wanted her to focus on getting married and having a family of her own. That wasn't her only priority, as she thought she could have both a career and children. So she chose her own path, knowing that she would be the only one she'd have to answer to for the rest of her life. Carol had invested a lot of time in the corporate world and learned firsthand what it felt like to be around toxic lions who said all the right things but did the opposite behind closed doors. She chose to start, I've seen that happen. She chose to start her own business to help others who worked with toxic executives and toxic family members. She wanted to help tame those lions so nobody would hate coming to work ever again, not even the CEOs themselves. Was she afraid of having a business that relied solely on her? Of course she was. Ultimately, she succeeded, and she reveled in telling the tales of each dragon she slayed and each lion she tamed. Each lion she tamed. That's a metaphor she's using for changing the work environment from toxic to healthy. And I will say that, what's I about to say? Oh, we're reading Greg S. Reid and Ben Haldeman's compilation from many authors of Lunar Legacy, the DNA of Success. That's what we're reading, and we're on page 21. Even though Carol had been a stranger, Ben felt he already knew her and was enjoying their conversation. They might have had very different careers, but their paths crossed here today. Ben knew at that moment that Carol would become a pioneer with him leaving their legacies in that Carol would become a pioneer with him in leaving their legacies on the moon. Excuse me. What life lesson would you want to leave on the moon? Ben asked Carol, pen and notebook in hand. She took no time to think of an answer. Feel the fear and do it anyway, she announced with pride. This was a familiar phrase to Carol, like a chant she repeated to herself. Now we're going to finish up this chapter 4 next time, and this is the Lunar Legacy DNA of Success compilation by Greg S. Reid. We're reading about Carol Marzouk right now, Carol, last name Marzouk. Okay? So we'll talk to you again later. And you have a great inspired day, please. Okay? Old Kinderhand!